Okay, so now I was a little more interested in the P20 Pro because it has the 3 Leica cameras and it's just more unique and higher end. But Huawei also launched its baby brother at the same time that loses the 3 cameras but still has 2 really good ones and loses also a chunk of the price. Now they are very similar, but there are, some differences that make you maybe want to go for one over the other. But Huawei was kind enough to actually send me a P20 as well as the P20 Pro, so I figured, as is the protocol here on this channel, I would try to do a complete walkthrough for you guys. Now, if you're not familiar, my complete walkthroughs are basically me trying to go through every single feature on a device, whether it's a phone, a tablet, a laptop, etc., that I can, so that you guys are more informed whenever you decide you might want to buy it. And with that said, let's get started on the hardware. So just like the P20 Pro, the P20 comes in the same sick twilight color that is basically a gradient color going from green to blue to purple that I'm sort of in love with. The P20 I have here is in the only other gradient color that both devices come in, albeit a much more subdued color, called pink gold, which, as I'm sure you could guess, goes from pink to gold. If you don't like the gradient versions though, there is still a midnight blue, a black, and a champagne gold that apparently the P20 comes in that the P20 Pro does not. The P20 has a glass back and is curved on all 4 sides. The screen is a 5.8-inch RGBW LCD screen that is 2244 by 1080 in resolution. And yes, we have a notch. But that notch is thankfully able to be easily hidden by going into the aptly named notch settings and just selecting to hide it. In doing so, we'll just turn the status bar black, which on the LCD screen isn't as black as the OLED screen of the P20 Pro, but it still does a good job of stopping people from asking you if you have an iPhone. At the bottom of the phone, we have a capacitive home button that is also the fingerprint sensor. The button can also be enabled as a form of system navigation if you want, by going into settings and hiding the software navigation buttons and then using a tap, tap and hold, or a swipe to get back, home, and multitasking instead. There's also a facial unlocking feature that works pretty quickly. The P20 is only IP53 certified, which means it's not really water resistant at all, kind of how we're used to hearing nowadays at least, and it is 7.65 millimeters thin, which is 0.2 millimeters thinner than the P20 Pro, for those that are wondering, and has a 3400 milliamp battery that Huawei says can charge to 58% in just 30 minutes. Audio-wise, it uses aptX HD, that a lot of flagships have for higher quality audio over Bluetooth, and it also has Sony's LDAC tech for even higher quality audio over Bluetooth that, frankly, not that many headphones or audio players can even support. At the bottom of the device, we have a USB Type-C port and no headphone jack. At the top, we have nothing. On the left, we have our SIM card slot, and on the right, we have our volume, rocker, and power button. Finally, the Huawei P20 is powered by the Kirin 970 and 4 gigs of RAM and has 128 gigs of internal storage. Software-wise, it's running Android 8.1 with EMUI 8.1 on top. And it's the same variety of EMUI that we're used to seeing now, so I won't go through it too much, but quickly, here are some of the apps that Huawei has pre-installed. Amazon, which is bloatware for Amazon's shopping app. Now, I'm pretty sure this was pre-installed, but I'm not positive, honestly. Regardless, though, I would have installed it anyway because I have an addiction. Booking.com, which is bloatware that takes you to Booking.com site. Backup, a phone backup and restore program. Files, their own file explorer that can sort by type of file and location. Flashlight, which is used to magically illuminate things behind the phone when you tap the button. Gallery, their own photo album that sorts photos and videos by albums and locations. Health, which is Huawei's own health app. HiCare, which is Huawei's customer service portal app. Huawei Videos, which is Huawei's built-in video player. Huawei Wallet, which is Huawei's version of like Samsung Pay or Android Pay, but it doesn't actually work here in the US. Mirror, which to me is just a strange app to use as a mirror because it offers basically the same features as just turning on the selfie camera. Music, which is Huawei's own music player. Notes, a simple note-taking app. Phone Clone, which allows you to download the app on another phone and quickly transfer all of your photos, videos, apps, etc. from one device to the other. Phone Management, their own app for cleaning up cache storage, monitoring or limiting mobile data, battery monitoring, and even scanning for viruses. Quick, which is bloatware for GoPro's video editing app. Recorder, a simple voice recording app. SIM Toolkit, which is a couple of apps that allow you to adjust how each SIM of the dual SIMs are used in the device. System Update, which is really just a shortcut to the System Update options in Settings. Themes, where you can download or buy new themes from Huawei's repository. Tips, Huawei's app for showing you how to get more out of your device. Translator, which is a partnership between Microsoft and Huawei. It's a translator app that is the same one as we find in the Play Store, but Huawei says that Microsoft has tuned it to use the NPU in the Kirin 970 so that it can translate a lot faster than normal. And finally, Weather, which is a basic weather app with weather data that's provided by AccuWeather. Another software thing Huawei has in the P20 Pro and the P20 is Huawei Share, that allows you to share images and files with any other Huawei device a lot faster than pairing with Bluetooth manually. Think of it as AirDrop for Huawei. The P20 rear camera system is comprised of a 12 megapixel RGB sensor with an aperture of 1.8 and a 20 megapixel monochrome sensor with an aperture of f1.6. Both of these, by the way, are tuned by Leica. There's also a 3-meter laser sensor for autofocus, a color temperature sensor to detect light temperature and adjust the white balance of the photos, and they claim to have a 4D predictive focus that attempts to guess where a moving subject will be and then keep better focus on it. Now the idea here is familiar for the most part. When in auto mode, the camera would automatically take the image from the monochrome and the RGB sensors and combine them into a higher quality image. The image sensor, just like with the P20 Pro, is actually physically larger than other flagship devices' sensors. The P20 has a smaller one than the P20 Pro though, but both are larger than the Galaxy S9 and the iPhone Xs. Now as for stabilization on the P20, there is no optical stabilization. Instead, Huawei uses what they are calling AIS, or AI Image Stabilization, which is a fancy way of saying that they think they have a better version of EIS, or Electronic Image Stabilization. The device also has the same AI scene detection that, in auto mode, will detect what you are trying to shoot and automatically adjust the camera settings for you to optimize for that type of photo. The nice thing here, though, is that there is an X that you can easily tap if you don't want it to apply the settings, and there's even a setting in the camera settings to completely disable it globally. Now, going through the camera settings, we have the following modes besides our normal photo and video. Aperture, which allows you to add software-enabled bokeh by adjusting a virtual aperture from 0.95 all the way up to 16. Think of it like portrait mode. Then we also have portrait mode, which is similar to aperture mode above, but only seems to work for some reason on human beings. Also, this does automatically turn on as part of the AI scene detection if you're taking a photo of a person, and like with any of the other AI scene detection, you can actually X out of it if you don't want it. But you can also turn it on manually by going over to the actual mode. Now, in addition to blurring out the background like aperture mode, it also has a beauty mode that the intensity can be adjusted up or down. Now, something I've noticed though is that even if you turn it all the way off, it still adds a tiny bit of softening and makes your skin just a little lighter. Night shot. Now, this setting allows you to take a long exposure shot that holds the shutter open for 4 to 8 seconds, depending on how dark the phone thinks the scene is. Now, Huawei claims because of the AIS stabilization, this feature can even work handheld, which is unlike the normal way of having to make sure that you mount a camera doing these types of shots, or you'll just have a lot of streaks in your image. Pro mode, which allows you to adjust all of the camera's functions like ISO, shutter speed, exposure, autofocus, white balance, etc. Super slow-mo, which you knew was coming because all of the other devices this year seem to be coming with it, but it allows 960 frame per second slow motion in 0.2 second bursts, creating a 6-second super slow-mo clip in 720p. We also have slow-mo, which is regular slow-mo that can be recorded at 120 frames per second, but in 1080p. Now, oddly enough, there is no 240 frames per second, which is what a lot of the other devices are doing nowadays, at least none that I could find in the settings. Monochrome, which of course allows you to use the monochrome sensor by itself to take black and white photography. Time-lapse, which allows you to shoot at lower frame rates to have a sped-up video. HDR, which is a mode on Huawei devices instead of just being an automatically detected thing in auto mode like most manufacturers, which I don't really understand. Although I am under the impression that the AI scene detection will add HDR in certain circumstances. Light painting, which allows you to create a long exposure photo that you've undoubtedly seen on social media somewhere, where you can use a flashlight or any source of light to draw on a photo. Watermark, think of Snapchat stickers based on time, location, etc. that can be burned into the images. 3D panorama, which lets you circle an object to make a 3D-like movable image that honestly I couldn't get to work well enough to even show you the result. Document scanner, which allows you to take photos of documents or anything that resembles one really, and it'll automatically crop it and brighten it and try to make it look like it was a scan. And then there's good food, which is available in downloads. It's not automatically on the device. and allows you to choose manually to do what I imagine the AI scene detection does automatically when it recognizes food, which is basically just turn up the saturation. And now let's dive into the settings really quick of the P20's camera. First, we have resolution. Now you can choose from 20 megapixels in a 4:3 aspect, 12 megapixels in a 4:3, 9 megapixels in a 1:1, or 8 megapixels in an 18:9. And for video resolution, we can select UHD 4K, which is 3840 by 2160. It will only do 30 frames a second, by the way. FHD Plus in 18:9 aspect. FHD, which is full HD at 60 frames a second, or FHD at 30 frames per second. And then HD, which is 720p at 30 frames per second as well. You can also choose the format, either H.264 for compatibility reasons, which is the normal standard, or efficiency mode, which is H.265, which makes smaller file sizes, but a lot of video players have trouble playing them, and a lot of editors have trouble editing them, but that'll change soon. Next, we have RAW format. Now, if you're shooting in Pro mode, you can capture RAW format photos. If you know what those are, then you probably don't need to enable this, but it allows for more complex photo editing after the fact. Let's just leave it at that. GPS tag, which allows you to turn on or off whether you want location data stored in the metadata of the image file. Add watermarks. This automatically adds the Leica logo to the photos you take on the rear camera in case you feel like, I don't know, advertising them for free every time you take a photo. Master AI. This allows you to globally turn off the suggested AI scene detection, which is a great addition, by the way, over the Mate 10 Pro. Assistive grid allows you to add various grids to the viewfinder while taking an image to help you line up shots. I personally always use this myself with any camera. Mirror reflection. This flips the front-facing camera around to basically just more resemble a mirror. Mute, which turns off camera sounds. Why you would ever want a shutter sound, I don't know. Timer. Set a timer for when the photo is taken after the shutter is pressed of either 2, 5, or 10 seconds. Audio control, which allows you to take photos with your voice by either saying cheese or when your voice hits a certain decibel level, aka gets loud. Touch to capture, which allows you to tap the screen to take a photo instead of just the shutter button. Capture smiles, which automatically takes a photo if it detects anyone smiling in it. 4D predictive focus, which we talked about before, but this turns on and off the AI-enabled predictive focus that attempts to figure out where a moving object is heading to keep it better in focus. Touch and hold shutter icon, which allows you to choose whether you want a burst shot or to lock the focal length when you touch and hold the shutter button. Volume button function, which allows you to choose what you want the volume buttons to do, whether it's take a photo, which is the shutter, zoom in and out, or move the focus in and out. And finally, we have ultra snapshot, which is whenever the screen is off, you can double tap the volume down button to either open the camera immediately, which is what I use it for, or you can have it open the camera and take a quick photo automatically, or you can also, of course, just have it do nothing. And there you go. This was a little bit longer than my P20 Pro, so I hope anybody that watched that and watched this learned a little bit extra. I need your advice though, guys. I'm doing these complete walkthroughs, and I kind of like doing them. They're a lot of fun for me. It seems that you guys like them. You seem to be watching them and letting me know that you do like them, so I appreciate that. Please let me know any other comments about the complete walkthrough series and this device in the comments below. Always love to hear from you guys. But I need your advice on whether you would like these to be longer or shorter. Now, a complete walkthrough in my mind means it needs to cover as many things as humanly possible. But like, I could have just now gone through all of the settings of EMUI. So basically everything the phone could have done. I chose not to because it would be a very long video. But let me know if you guys would rather me put that type of stuff in. Otherwise, my other idea was to actually do complete walkthroughs of OSs. So for example, I could do a complete walkthrough of EMUI 8.1, and that would live separately. And then whenever I did these device ones, I can just do what's specific about that device and just put a link to the EMUI 8.1 so I don't have to repeat myself, because EMUI 8.1 is on multiple devices and I would just be repeating myself over and over. You guys let me know, please, in the comments below, or reach out to me on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. I'm on all of them. The Unlocker. It's the unlock, the letter R. Love to hear from you guys. I can't stress it enough. I really do. But that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, please thumbs up it or share it. It is greatly appreciated. Also, if you liked it a lot, please subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and make sure to check the bell next to the word subscribe so that you get notified when I do new videos, please. As always, though, regardless, thanks for watching.